Hey, welcome back to Dealing with the Deckers. I'm Candace Decker on the Gulf Coast of Florida, and this is my sister-in-law, co-host, fellow realtor, Jamie Decker in the northwest suburbs of Illinois. So, Jamie, what do you got today? It's been a little bit since we've been on.
We've had a little bit of a hiatus. We've been busy, there's like a lot of houses selling. Uh, but let's talk a little bit about that because there is some serious consumer concern right now about what's going on in the market. And, we understand why, and we kind of want to talk through that. But here's a little fact for you, a little from Google. So reports from Google say that the search, okay, this is the quoted search, ready? When is the housing market going to crash? Has spiked 2,450% over the past month. So, Google doesn't lie. They're listening to us. They're looking at what we're putting into the search. So clearly people have a concern or at least are curious about this.
Yeah, and I know we get asked this question all the time. And I know that people, as homeowners, we're online, we're looking at what is our neighbor's home selling for, and we're just searching around. And it's shocking right now to see that the prices of what homes are actually selling for. And according to Bloomberg, for the first time ever, the average U.S. home is selling above the list price. And we're seeing homes selling for 25, 50, 100,000. I've heard in California, 400,000 over the list price. So I think everyone's feeling a little concerned about when is the ball going to drop, right? Because what goes up must eventually come down.
And that's what they say. That's what they say. But, we have a lot of experts saying that this really isn't the case. And it's definitely not the same situation that we were in back in 06, 07, 08. I mean, let's just talk about the big elephant in the room, COVID. I mean, COVID was not what was going on in the market in 06, 07, 08. And that is something that's impacting what's going on today. I mean, maybe not, directly, but indirectly, there's so many things surrounding COVID that are impacting the current housing market. So, there's a lot of reasons why it's not the same, why a lot of experts are saying that it's not a bubble that's going to burst.
Right. And we had to look at the inventory. And that's another thing from the last housing crash. This is totally different because we don't have inventory. And that's, basic supply and demand, right? We have very low supply and a ridiculous amount of demand. And even in markets that are typically colder markets where there's not a lot of movement, we're seeing a huge buyer demand. And like you said, with COVID, we know people who their companies, their corporations said, hey, you are never going to ever come back to a desk job again. You can go move wherever you want, internationally, even if you want to, right? So people have a lot of choices now.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, we hear a lot of buyers saying, like, I'm going to wait until things cool off. I'm going to wait to buy later this summer, in the fall, next year. But you know what? We heard buyers saying that in January, saying, I'm going to wait to buy in maybe April or May. What if they would have bought in January? Because prices have even gone up since January. So, that's just something that's really interesting that you think you're going to wait to buy, when things settle down. But a lot of experts are saying you might be waiting for a very long time.
100%. Okay. And super interesting here. And we've got this slide. So people are on the fence, right? Should we wait? Should we buy now? Am I overpaying, right? Because if you're going to make an offer on a home and you're going to go $20,000 or $30,000 over the list price, it's a big concern, right? Because first, your home may not actually appraise right now. And a lot of the deals that we are doing right now, they're not appraising. And it's just for the fact that the appraisers are looking at old comparables and our market is moving faster. So, you're going into a new home and right off the bat, you have an appraisal that does not justify your purchase price. That's a hard pill to swallow for most people, right? Yeah. So a bunch of top real estate economists got together and put together this chart that we have here showing if you bought January of this year, a home for $300,000, in the next 5 years, you're estimated to have $82,000 in equity. So
yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy. It's definitely, you're seeing this trajectory is, and that's the other thing I kind of want to go back to before we get into that is the idea of overpaying, right? A lot of people think if I pay over asking price, that means I'm overpaying, which, logically it makes sense on the surface. But the whole idea of market value is what a buyer is willing and able to pay for a property. If you've got 10, 20, 30 willing and able buyers all offering 20 to 30,000 over list price, that is market value, my friends, and that is what the home is worth in today's market. So are you paying over asking? Sure. Are you overpaying? I would say no, based on all that competition. So this kind of shows you that that first in January of January of 2021 at 350,000, you could be projected to make all of that in equity versus if you think, okay, I'm going to wait until the market slows down, maybe in January 2023, I mean, you're cutting out a potential, what is that, 37,000 in equity. I mean, like, just because you wanted to wait. And then what are you doing? Putting that money in rent, or what are you putting that money into? So definitely very interesting. I mean, obviously we don't have a crystal ball to know if this will come to fruition, but a lot of very smart economists are predicting this. So I'd be interested to see what some potential buyers, maybe if there's anyone out there who is on the fence, what they think about a lot of these stats.
Yeah, and the reality is that this market is just not for everybody, right? This
100%.
market is not for a person who has to, take a couple of months to make a decision, somebody who doesn't like to take risks. This just truly may not be the market for you. And these are genuine conversations that we're having with our clients right now. And look, this is what is going on. Is this the right market for you? Because we understand if it's not, and if it is, we've got to come in like guns a-blazing, right, to get you the house that you want. But you're right, it's it's tough, and it's just not for everybody. So let's dive into rates a little bit. I know rates have been low for a long time now. A lot of people have refinanced their homes. Now we have people we have moving up buyers, right? So they started out with starter home. Now they're moving up. So rates are still really low. We're seeing people moving up in homes and still having the same payment and cashing out on the equity that they built over the last few years. So like we have clients who are making $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 on their investment. They're pretty excited about that, and they're rolling it into their next property. And right now, Q3 of 2021, so this year, interest rates 3.35, still super, super low.
Yeah. Talk to any of your parents or grandparents about maybe what the first or second house they bought, and they'll laugh at you if you think like 3.68 is the rates getting really high and outrageous. So
well, and I think that we have to keep that in mind with home affordability in general, and even with the last housing crash, the interest rates were higher. So it's still, even though you're paying quite a bit more than you would have last year, in some markets 30% more, but the affordability is still there, especially with the rates. So sometimes we have to look at the big picture on things, and it seems like the rates are going to hover under 4% into next year.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of, we talked a lot about buyers. Sellers, from a seller perspective, obviously opportune time for you to sell because of supply and demand. We are really still hurting for supply in many markets. So it is an opportune time to sell. I know a lot of people kind of going back to the buy side of things, where do I go? That's a big question we're hearing now too. I want to sell, but where am I going to go? So again, that's a conversation that I know we're having a lot with people, is you have to do it when the time is right. Do you have a short-term rental you could go to, family you can move in with, so that you can capitalize on this great market and then be able to still take your time and make the right decision for your next purchase. Or maybe you're lucky and you don't have anything that you need to purchase, and then great, you're capitalizing and not having to purchase anything. But like you were saying, this has to be the market. It's not for everyone. We're having a lot of real conversations, and it may seem like you might be deterring, people from entering the market or from buying, or that you don't have a great sales pitch for it. But you just, we really want to make sure we're just being as upfront and forthright about the market as we can. And we're not there to just, sell you a house or have you, list your house with us. We really want people to make the best decisions for them financially and for them and their family. So it's one of those situations where in any market, you have to really sit down and talk about, a consult about what is going to be best for you. But especially in this market, you need to sit down with your agent and have all your ducks in a row to be successful.
100%. Yes. If you have any questions at all, whether you're a realtor or you are looking to buy or sell, we're happy to answer any questions for you. So I think that's it.
That's it.
All right.
See you in the next Dealing with the Deckers.